It's Fight Talk time. Here's your hosts, Josh and Sam.
Okay, we are live here at the Fight Talk podcast, sponsored by fightplatform.com. Be sure to check them out for all the latest mixed martial arts news and stories.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Fight Talk on the 11th of January 2017. Getting straight into it, let's talk about UFC 207. Obviously headlined by Amanda Nunes and Ronda Rousey. What do you reckon of that?
I think that might have been the last time we see Ronda Rousey, because she didn't take it too well. Looked like she was trying to outbox Amanda Nunes, which is odd because she's, a judoka.
Yeah.
She won an Olympic gold medal in judo. It wasn't even a gold medal, it was a silver medal in judo. And I actually think it was a bronze medal, thinking about it now.
Still, pure domination by Amanda Nunes. 48 seconds the fight took.
Well, if you get an Olympic swimmer and you put them up against an Olympic boxer, they're not going to do too well. And I know, obviously, swimming isn't a combat sport. Judo, more so. But still, the striking skill just isn't there for judo.
Yeah.
And I think it's a Coach Edmund. He's just... Everyone agrees she really should move away. If she went to a camp like TriStar or Greg Jackson's, imagine what she could do. She would be as good as everyone thought she was. But I do think Amanda Nunes is going to be champion for a long time.
I think Rousey needs to go in and practice more with higher competition other than Edmund. I don't like Edmund. I don't think he's an amazing coach. The stuff he was saying to her when she was getting absolutely battered it just wasn't right.
I agree. Going, oh no, Ronda, that's not good corner advice. That's not what you want to hear. But at the same time, when you saw her training beforehand when she was boxing, there's videos of it on Reddit. You can see her training in the open workouts, and you can see her turning her hand to an anti-clockwise position, putting a palm out, and that's not the way to box at all. That's very bad technique, and it's very dangerous. So but I do like Ronda. I've always liked Ronda, but you can't win a fight based on techniques you do not understand and know. If she had gone in there and shot a double leg and really tried to rip her arm off armbar style, it might have gone a different way. I remember watching the fight in a bar and screaming for Ronda to shoot a double leg, and no, it didn't. My coaching didn't help either.
It's definitely been the year for Amanda Nunes, and before that, defeating Ronda, Misha to win the belt, Shevchenko, Sarah McMahon. It's her year.
Well, there's some interesting facts there. The last two people to beat Amanda Nunes was Kat Zingano and. I can't remember who else it was.
Kat Zingano back in 2014 at UFC 178.
Yeah, that was the one. I can't remember who else it was, but I do remember reading that that Ronda Rousey finished them both in a combined 30-something seconds.
Stupid.
So MMA math isn't really there. It doesn't really work. But really, if you were a betting man, you should have bet on Rousey. But It's interesting to think that if going back to 200 when going back to 200 when Amanda Nunes won the belt. If we go back one more to the last title defense when Holly Holm defended against Misha, now obviously that was a submission win for Misha, taking the 5th round by a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
But one of the rounds there was a 10-8, and it turns out if the Misha hadn't finished that fight would have gone to a majority draw, which means they'd have probably rematched at 200. And if Misha had won that fight, Misha would have fought Ronda, and Ronda probably would have won that fight. Or Holly, if Holly had won, she'd have fought Holly, and she might have won that fight. So it's a little bit of fate there, I think, that Amanda Nunes was the one to win.
Alright, before we move on to the main event, what do you think Ronda Rousey will compete in the octagon again?
I'd like to say she would, but Chael Sonnen said it best. Ronda Rousey is famous around the world for being a fighter. She is an actress. She's not a very good actress by all accounts. I'm sorry, she's not. She's there because she's famous. She was in all the movies she's in because she's famous for being an ass kicker. And if you're not a mixed martial artist anymore and you leave after getting knocked out twice, she's not got any acting avenues to go for. No one's going to want to see her on the big screen anymore, because to people who don't watch mixed martial arts a lot, the casual fans, the Conor McGregor fanboys, the casual fans, you see Ronda as that ass kicker, and now that's it. Like, her house was recently vandalised, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I couldn't actually read what the graffiti said. It was a terrible job. But so I hope she comes back. I hope she wakes up tomorrow morning and she says, I've had enough of Edmund. I'm going to go to TriStar.
I'm going to listen to the fight talk. And I'm going to move camp. That's what I'm going to do.
That's what Ronda's going to say tomorrow morning. So should we move on to the co-main event?
We could speak about Amanda and we could speak about Ronda Rousey all day, but let's go on to the co-main. It was Cody Garbrandt defeating Dominic Cruz via decision.
Right, now this is an embarrassing one for me, because I've said
I've said
to complete strangers who like Cody Garbrandt that Cody Garbrandt isn't all that, and Cody Garbrandt's going to get absolutely dominated by Dominic Cruz, and here we are today, and Cody Garbrandt, I don't even think battered is a word that describes domination. Doesn't approach it. It was complete. It was a man playing with a child.
He was dancing with him. He was all over. There was a point where he even fell to the floor and did a press up. Like, it was definitely his year in terms of fighting. Obviously.
Well, it's been his career so far. It was 11. He's 11-0 now.
Before in the start of 2016, he wasn't even ranked.
Yeah. Well, the turning point for me, I remember when he fought Thomas Almeida, and I remember Thomas Almeida for his knockout. Was it Brad Pickett?
I think it
was Brad Pickett. Obviously, we're big Brad Pickett fans. I remember when he knocked Brad Pickett out, and I was like, this guy's really good.
Love you,
and
Brad.
he came up against Cody Garbrandt, and I remember thinking, this is just another stepping stone. This guy's going to be champion. And then I saw Cody Garbrandt knock out Thomas Almeida, and I was shocked. And then he obviously stole the hype for me, but I don't know. I just always thought when he came up against Takeya Mitsugaki, I thought perhaps this is going to be the experience will overwhelm him. He'll take him down or grind him out.
Yeah.
But no, he flattened him as well. And I just thought Dominic. I've never seen Dominic. The only time Dominic Cruz has been beat was when he got choked out by Uriah years ago in the WEC.
Yeah.
Since then, he's beaten Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse is the pound for pound best fighter in the world.
Agreed.
So I don't know. I just couldn't imagine. It's like when Conor beat Aldo. I couldn't imagine him being beat until I'd seen it.
No, it's one of them, and it's like when you saw Anderson Silva lose for the first time.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, he had this aura of invincibility around him,
yeah.
And it was a bit upsetting to see it shattered because Dominic Cruz was a personal favourite of mine. I love seeing him dance around the octagon. I did not enjoy seeing him eat dirt. I hope he comes back. Well, of course he's going to come back.
He was meant to fight John Lineker actually. Cody Garbrandt was until. John Lineker had to pull out, and instead he fought Augusto Mendez, and then he went on to beat Thomas Almeida, obviously, then Takeya Mizugaki, and then obviously Dominic Cruz, but he wasn't ranked at all at the start of 2016.
It's an odd one. He is a great fighter, but he just needs that experience now.
Definitely, and he's obviously got the right people around him. He's got Uriah Faber, he's got.
He's coming from a broken camp because, as you know, Team Alpha Male at the moment is in pieces. TJ Dillashaw leaving to go off with Ban Ludwig. That's a story in of itself. We could talk about that all day.
Yeah.
But I reckon his next fight is definitely going to be against TJ. And it's odd because TJ and Dominic Cruz are very, very similar. Very similar in styles. We saw that when they fought. But I got to believe that he's going to do the same thing to TJ unless TJ comes in. Because what we've noticed from TJ's last two fights, he's circling to the left and looking for the high kick. And that is not a way to fight someone who is coming out. Obviously, John Lineker is very similar to Cody. He's got hands of stone, as his nickname is.
Yeah.
But he's that's not a way to fight someone. Obviously, he dominated Lineker. Actually broke his jaw in the first round. But fair dues to Lineker for sticking in it. He's got a heart of a lion.
Going into that, the next fight was TJ Dillashaw versus John Lineker. Yeah. TJ Dillashaw, I thought he could have ended it. Honestly, John Lineker has a chin, and wow, it was amazing how long John Lineker stayed in that because.
See, again, I was at a bar watching this in Malta, and I remember
an alcoholic.
I looked over to my uncle and I said, listen here. John Lineker is going to win this fight by knockout. Yeah. No, he's telling me, no, I reckon TJ's going to submit him. So he's not going to knock him out. That's definite. He's not going to knock John Lineker out. I remember when Lineker fought Dodson, and those punches, that 3-punch combination early in the fight, it sounded like in the WWE when someone hit you with a chair 3 times, bam, bam, bam. And I remember just looking at Lineker smiling. It was scary.
Yeah, I've spoke to John Lineker and he is a really nice guy. I've spoke to him quite a few times now. He is a really nice guy, and I do believe he will be champion one day.
That's the question, though, isn't it? He's in one of the most talent-rich divisions in the UFC.
Wow, can we stop this phone?
He's in one of the most talent-rich divisions in the UFC, and it's questionable whether he definitely has the potential to be champion, but he's not the biggest guy.
Yeah, he is.
You've got people like Dillashaw. He's big in terms of physical bulk, but in terms of size, there are bigger. There are definitely bigger.
Going on next, we're going to go to the Dong Hyun Kim versus Tarek Safadine fight. Dong Hyun Kim is now 7th in the welterweight rankings. What do we think of this?
I'm not a fan of that. I remember Dong Hyun Kim. The first fight I ever saw of Stungun was when he smacked Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz at welterweight.
Yeah.
I remember that was the fight that made me think maybe Nate's too high up here. And I love Stungun, and it's odd because he's known as a judoka. He's known for his great judo. But he's more known for a spinning back elbow knockout. And then the fight after that, he's known for trying it and getting his head taken off by Tyrone Woodley.
Definitely got some big wins over TJ Grant, Matt Brown, Nate Diaz, as we've already said. But also some big losses, Carlos Condit, Damian Maia. But who doesn't lose to Damian Maia?
Well, that Damian Maia loss it's questionable because that takedown... What happened was in the fight, Damian Maia went in for a takedown, took him down, and what Joe Rogan said was a broken rib. It was actually... a muscle spasm, and it was the muscle spasm that caused Dong Hyun Kim to essentially tap out and have to quit the contest. The fight would have been, I reckon, the fight would have been quite interesting. Damian Maia being one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world, Dong Hyun Kim being a judoka and considerably bigger than Damian Maia. It'd have been interesting, but this fight was a disappointment to say the least.
Yeah,
it was. I remember I skipped through most of this fight. I watched the first couple. I watched the first 2 rounds, and the third round just didn't interest me. When I saw the decision, I wasn't. If they just put it the other way, I wouldn't have cried about it. I wouldn't have minded at all. I like Stungun. I think he can be a very exciting fighter sometimes. I just feel that this fight was quite boring.
On the minute though, he's still got a quite impressive record of 22 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. So, he's definitely got potential still.
But answer me this: could you see him beating Robbie Lawler?
No,
100%. Tyrone Woodley, no. I can't see it. Damian Maia, there's potential, but like I said, Carlos Condit has beat him already. You go down the welterweight rankings. Like, could he beat Wonderboy? I think Wonderboy would be his best matchup, and even that is a bad matchup.
Yeah, I do love Wonderboy.
Everyone likes Wonderboy. He's great.
So, do you want to talk about Rayborg versus Lewis Smoker? Is there much to say about it?
It was a good fight. I was quite surprised. Obviously, it was a catchweight fight.
Yeah, it was.
One of the 2 catchweight fights here.
Rayborg was it Rayborg?
Rayborg. There was a takedown in the fight. I believe it was in the second round, and it was some of I was with my cousin at the time, and he was like, "Can we skip through this?" And I was like, "No, we got to watch this. This is really interesting." From a double leg takedown, he transitioned. And he tried. I can't exactly remember the actual transition he used, but he got back up to his feet rather quickly, and it was quite odd to see because generally when Smoker gets people down, they stay down, he keeps them down.
Yeah.
But to see Ray Borg hop back up to his feet, it was quite a treat. There's not much else to say about that fight.
No.
I find flyweight fights are generally either very interesting or not very interesting. There's no general middle ground. Now onto a fight that I really want to talk about. Neil Magny defeating Johnny Hendricks after Johnny Hendricks missed weight again.
Yeah, he's lost his last 3 now as well.
And missed weight on 2 of them.
It's crazy. That decision, that could have gone either way, really.
It could have, but at the same time, I'm glad it didn't.
No, I'm glad.
Johnny Hendricks could have won that fight, but didn't deserve to win that fight. And did you hear the rumours of why? Why Johnny Hendricks missed weight?
Don't think I did.
Well, are you ready for this? Apparently, he lied to his nutritionist and was in fact eating French fries from I believe it's Burger Shoot. Is it? He's Inside Out Burger. That's the one. That's the one he's quite fond of. He's lying to his coach and he's after eating French fries.
That's bad.
And he was saying that he's okay to eat the burgers. He just eats the actual patty without the bread.
I was watching the Embedded series, and it was Johnny Hendricks, and he was with his nutritionist, and he was eating a big steak, and he was saying you can eat that because you've made weight.
Yeah.
And he clearly hasn't made weight. Once again, he has not made weight. And Neil Magny just got the win against him.
It was interesting as well because Neil Magny and Johnny Hendricks were actually in the sauna together prior to their fight. It was quite funny as they were just having a chat, and it was nice to see because mixed martial arts now, since Conor McGregor's come in and changed everyone's trash talking, everyone hates their opponent, and it's nice to see 2 people. It's a job at the end of the day. They are just fighters.
Yeah.
It's nice to see them sat in the sauna having a laugh together before they go in and. They have to fight
So Magny lost to Lorenz Larkin and then bounced back with obviously.
He didn't just lose to Lorenz Larkin though, did he? Lorenz Larkin took him to Sparta those front kicks were amazing. Lorenz Lark is actually in negotiations at the moment.
Yeah.
For those of you who are on Reddit, you see he does an AMA every so often. He's quite a frequent Redditor. He's in negotiations at the moment. I'd love to see him come back because he's phenomenal. Lorenz Larkin is absolutely phenomenal. He's still quite young as well, which is exciting to see. I'd love to see where he goes. I do believe Lorenz Larkin could be welterweight champion one day. I'd love to see him fight one day.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we go on to this welterweight fight. Cowboy Oliveira, Tim Means, no contest.
I only brought this up because this is an important one. A lot of people were even Joe Rogan was confused about the rule. Even what's the other guy called they brought in?
The commissioner.
Why does
Mark
he know?
Ratner. The
What does
commissioner. He's the commissioner, so he's essentially in charge of rulings like this. And it actually went down not as illegal knees, as unintentional illegal knees. Now, to me, unintentional means accidental. You cannot accidentally knee someone twice and attempt the third one.
No, of course not.
That's not an accident, that is intentional. Dan Mergliata obviously tried his very best to get to the bottom of this. It's similar to the when we had the toe stuck in the fence, didn't we?
Yeah.
With Jake Ellenberger, that was a similar incident, and obviously, I think the commissioner really needs to have stricter rules governing this, because there's two ways to look at it. I believe this should have been a disqualification, because with the new rules coming in about points of contact, now they're saying he only had 2 points of contact, but that point of contact was the flat of his knee on the floor. That is a downed opponent, in my opinion, because he didn't have his hand on the floor.
No.
So I ask you, if someone is stood upright with one hand on the floor, if they're bent down with one hand on the floor, are they a downed opponent?
No.
But they are, with these new rules. So surely if someone like John Jones, who likes to use a 3-point stance when he comes out, John Jones puts his hand on the floor, you can't knee or kick him. Well, there you go then. That changes mixed martial arts to boxing and wrestling, doesn't it? No kickboxing.
Completely.
I believe that should have been disqualification.
Yeah, me too. I just brought this up because I thought it was quite an interesting topic to talk about, really. I can't believe Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg were obviously getting it wrong. And
well,
so
everyone gets it wrong because there is no right answer, so therefore all answers are wrong answers.
Crazy.
Cowboy Oliveira, obviously he's a tough guy. He really is. If you've seen him fight before, he's a very, very tough guy.
Yeah.
And to see him have to leave the octagon before they announce the official decision says that those knees. That is the reason downed opponent knees are illegal, because they're very dangerous. They cannot, they not only can obviously render you unconscious, which is the goal in mixed martial arts a lot of the time, but they can damage you permanently, and that's why they're generally illegal.
Yeah.
It's like the 12-6 elbows. Do you know why the 12-6 elbows are illegal?
It's the.
Go on. If you give me the right answer, I'll be very impressed.
It's meant to be on an angle, isn't it?
Nope. The reason the 12-6 elbow is illegal is the stupidest rule. When they were putting mixed martial arts through legalization and rule set, the governing body, one of the commissioners saw an ice breaking demonstration by karate demonstrators, and they were breaking ice with the 12-6 elbow, and he thought, it's well too dangerous for mixed martial arts. But if you put it at an angle, so 12-6 is banned, but say 11-5, 1-7, that's fine.
Yeah,
but I think that's a ridiculous rule.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The more of an 11-5 I was going on to. I think that's all we can say about that. It was no contest.
I'd like to see them do it again.
Yeah, definitely. I reckon they should fight again.
Because I remember that fight just for the back kick that happened.
Yeah.
With the back kick, I've never seen someone do a roly-poly off a back kick. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Going on to the next topic, Mike Goldberg leaving the UFC without a proper send-off. What do we think of this? I don't agree with that. We were very fortunate to get a picture with Mike Goldberg just after UFC 204 in a train station.
I was eating a steak pie, and you walked past me. I remember just looking at him. I recognise you. He was wearing a Reebok kit. I recognised that guy. I turned to Josh, and Josh was sat down on the floor. And we both kind of looked. That's
Mike Goldberg.
I threw my pie across the train station and ran after him. Mr. Goldberg, can I have a picture, please? He was a very, very nice guy.
Crazy though. All these UFC fans, obviously, you've been there because the Manchester show was a start at 3:00. Yeah. There was a lot of people kind of lying around who had obviously went to watch the UFC because they had jackets on, so they were just lying around, obviously knackered because of how late the card was, and they didn't even notice him.
It's crazy to me. I've been watching mixed martial arts now for a long time. We're both lifetime martial artists, myself and Josh, and it was crazy because to me, Mike Goldberg is in the world of martial arts a celebrity. He's a colour commentator. If you've seen every UFC event, you've seen him hundreds and hundreds of times across fight nights and pay-per-views, and interviews, and to see him walk across a train station filled with fight fans, and for 3 people, me, Josh, and the young lady who was taking a picture with him beforehand, to see him walk by, it's crazy to me. He deserves so much more recognition than he got, and I hope he moves on to something which is equally as fruitful for him in the future. Because there's a story that Chael Sonnen tells about Mike Goldberg, and it was a few years ago. WWE offered Mike Goldberg a contract and a cash bonus to just no-show a UFC event, just not to show up. Now, I might get certain details about this wrong. I encourage you to go and check out Chael Sonnen's podcast, because Chael says it best. It was the best story never told about Mike Goldberg. And instead of accepting this cash bonus and this lucrative contract, Mike Goldberg called up Dana White and told him what had happened. Yeah. And, I can't say a lot of people would have done the same thing. I certainly am, I'm no saint. If you offered me enough money, I'd have probably no-showed. And that many zeros after any number rather, is a lot of money for me. I do think the UFC probably should have given him a real goodbye, because the last thing he ever said on obviously UFC pay-per-view was, Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, thank you, good night, something like that.
Something similar.
He did go out to put a tweet actually on his Twitter, obviously, stating, "I wish I could respond to every single fan, fighter, and member of the media who reached out and showed their support, gratitude, and appreciation. It has been overwhelming and so gratifying. Thank you. Every single UFC from Ultimate Japan to UFC 207. My primary focus has been on just 2 things. First, to bring passion, energy, and raw emotion to our fans around the world, dedicated die-hard fans like none other. Second, to properly represent each and every fighter, from UFC newcomer to veterans with 20+ Octagon battles. Our fighters work so hard and sacrifice so much. It was my responsibility to properly prepare and tell the stories. Tommy Toehold, that video was hilarious. And just for the record, I still believe that Anderson Silva's precision is precise."
At least you can make fun of a lot of people. They call them Goldbergisms, Goldieisms. That it's everyone makes mistakes. No matter what job you do, You've made a mistake. It's just that he's on TV and he's there with Joe Rogan and.
Yeah, definitely.
Joe Rogan's so well loved. They got to pick on someone, and it's always been Goldie.
It's one of the hardest sports to obviously commentate, so you can see how things get wrong, and
it's
not gonna happen.
He's not like Joe Rogan's obviously a lifetime martial artist. Joe Rogan's a champion Taekwondo fighter, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Eddie Bravo, their 10th Planet.
Yeah.
Mike Goldberg isn't, and it's like if I was to go and commentate on Olympic diving, I would have had no idea what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But he had to give it a go, and he for so many years, like he learnt his craft, and he definitely knows what he's doing. So I personally like to say thank you for everything, Goldberg.
Thank you, Goldberg.
Yeah, thank you from all of us.
Thanks for the picture as well, Goldberg.
Yeah, thank you for the picture. That was
I remember we were about to get the picture, and his wife's kind of walking off, and he's like, "Babe, picture, man." it was funny.
Yeah.
So of course, thank you, Mike Goldberg. Going on to UFC 208. This is February 11th. In New York. They're going back to New York. Women's featherweight title fight. Inaugural, actually, that's what it's called.
The inaugural.
Inaugural, that's what it's called, yes.
That means the first.
Yeah, Holly Holm versus Jermaine de Randamie. Now...
Hands up if you know who that is. No one put their hand up.
I don't see any hands.
Holly Holm, obviously, is famous for obviously knocking out Ronda Rousey. She's an accomplished boxer, an accomplished kickboxer.
She's got a boxing record of 33 wins, 2 losses and 3 draws, and obviously a mixed martial artist one of 10 wins, 2 losses.
It's worth noting though that in one of those 2 boxing losses, it's hard to watch. She gets absolutely massacred.
I've seen it.
The video I was watching was actually entitled "Referee Tries to Kill Holly Holm" because he let the fight go on. So there's not much really to say about this main event, because if you look down the card, there's some good fights.
There is some good
I'm going to be watching this fight card for the main card. I probably won't even watch the featherweight title fight.
No, it's...
Holly Holm versus who knows, wasn't it? Jermaine de Randamie?
The biggest thing she's done is lose to Amanda Nunes. So
she's famous for losing to the current.
She is, yes.
And
she is currently on a 2-fight win streak.
A 2-fight win streak?
2-fight win streak.
Oh wow! Considering she's only had 9 fights, she's 6-3.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. And really, the featherweight title, I know they've offered it to Cyborg, and Cyborg's turned it down, citing depression, and she's actually been flagged for for a violation of the doping policy.
Yeah, she has.
At the moment, but I'd say it was worth waiting for. If they waited a few months to see if that clears up, obviously if she is guilty, she's guilty and she should not fight for the title.
No.
But she's adamant she's innocent, and I'm inclined to believe her though. I know she's failed one in the past, which is why I'm inclined to believe her.
Yeah.
If she really wants that Ronda Rousey fight, she really wants to fight for a belt. She just wants to get hands on Rousey, and failing a drug test is just not the way to go about that.
I can't see that happening. I honestly really can't see Chris Cyborg going against Ronda Rousey. I think
if Rousey comes back, it'll be that fight, and because you can't imagine Rousey coming back on the main card to fight Jessica Eye or someone, can you?
No.
You know.
So Holly Holm's last 2 appearances have come from Shevchenko and Misha, obviously at I can't remember when, but yeah, she did lose the belt then.
Yeah, that was I don't know. It was a good showing, but I don't know. Misha, I don't know. I didn't see the fight was entertaining. It wasn't the greatest fight ever. It was one of the better women's fights.
Yeah,
but it wasn't the greatest fight ever. But it was an enjoyable one. And you know, Holly, she's famous for knocking out Rousey, and that's going to stay with her.
Yeah.
Like even if you ask a casual fan who Holly Holm is, isn't that the girl who knocked out Ronda Rousey with a head kick? Well, yeah, it is. And that's probably why she's getting this off the heels of beating, I don't want to say a jobber, that's a wrestling term, a journeyman.
Yeah.
You know, someone who's not quite at stardom yet, but someone who'll probably get there. On the heels of a victory, to go up a division and fight for the inaugural title, I think it's a mistake. I think this will probably lose some pay-per-view buys, even for the hardcore fans, because I can't even pronounce this lady's name. Jermaine
Durandamy.
Oh well, there you go. You've got it nailed.
Honestly, I think there's not much to talk about. There is a few more fights on the card. I'm quite excited. I'm excited to see Derek Lewis back in the octagon versus Travis Brown.
If Travis Brown loses this fight, he's on his way out.
He has to be, yeah. Surely it's a 9th versus 8th here. So, Travis Brown's coming off losses to Verdum, Kane, and that damn terrible eye pokes on Matt Mitrione. That was messed up, man.
That should have been a disqualification.
That was
and
horrible.
before that, did he not lose to Verdum before that as well?
I think he did as well.
Yeah, and that wasn't just a loss. That was he got absolutely battered.
He's won 2 of his last 6 fights.
2 of his last 6.
That's crazy. Surely.
Arlovsky as well. He lost to Arlovsky.
Yeah.
He didn't just lose. He got back-fisted, and that was one of the best rounds in mixed martial arts history. That was crazy. But yeah, as you were saying, like he lost to Verdum. That should have been a first-round TKO.
Yeah.
You cannot stop a fight because your finger is broken, and then restart the fight once you've had a chance to have a look at it. Because that was a compound fracture. His bone was sticking out of his finger. That fight was finished.
Yeah.
That should have been a first-round TKO for Fabricio. Obviously, Travis managed to blag his way into the other rounds. He still lost.
Of course.
If he'd have won that fight, there'd have been outrage. But yeah, he did lose the fight. And then afterwards, Coach Edmund again decided to start a fight with Fabricio.
Who does that?
And then Travis acted, trying to act tough and try and defend his coach. You've just lost to this same man. You're not going to all of a sudden beat him up because your coach has started a fight with him. That's not how that works. It's worth noting as well, I didn't realise this. Travis Brown and Derek Lewis have quite similar records.
They do.
Travis being 18-5-1, Derek Lewis being 17-4-1.
Safe to say it's not a very good time in the house of the Travis Brown and Ronda Rousey household.
It's not, because this is a dangerous fight for Travis. All it's going to take is Derek Lewis to land one of those big black beast bombs and the fight's over. And his last fight, he didn't. It wasn't a great showing. It wasn't the worst showing, but it wasn't a great one. And a lot of people, myself included, in that Roy Nelson fight, thought that Roy Nelson won that fight.
Definitely.
It was that last punch that sealed the third round for Derek, but that Roy took it, and that to me means that it was a good punch. It was definitely the best punch of the fight, and it would have finished everybody else in every other division in the world.
Derek Lewis, though, he's on a 5-fight win streak now. He's got big wins over Roy Nelson, as you said, and Gabriel Gonzaga. So
worth noting, though, his last loss was a knockout.
Yeah.
Lost to Sean Jordan, I believe, or was it Mitrione?
I think it was
Mitrione. But before that, it was a hook kick loss to Sean Jordan, and it was he's got a questionable chin. And if you remember, before Travis Brown, grew his beard and started going on this tear, and then he started going on this losing streak now. Travis Brown was known for a massive right hand. Obviously, he knocked out Stefan Struve with a right Superman punch, made Stefan Struve fold like a house of cards. That was scary to watch.
The skyscraper fell.
Yeah, so all it'll take is for Travis Brown to hit Derek Lewis once, and I believe Derek Lewis will go down.
Definitely.
But when you're fighting Derek Lewis, the wrestling doesn't matter. as we saw when he fought Roy Nelson. Roy Nelson took him down, but Derek Lewis would just decide to get up whenever Derek Lewis wanted to, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. He'd get up, and there's nothing anyone could do about it.
Do like Derek Lewis though. I'm looking forward to it.
I am a fan of it. So, lightweight Dustin Poirier versus Jim Miller. What are you thinking about
that? Well, Dustin Poirier is now on a 20-5. His latest losses was to Michael Johnson, but then again, he's won 4 of his last 5. Was it? Yeah. He also lost to McGregor, of course, and
to McGregor.
But then again, he did tap out Max Holloway. So.
He did, but that was back in the day when Max Holloway wasn't quite in his prime yet.
Yeah.
I personally believe Max Holloway is probably the best featherweight, and I think he's going to take Jose Aldo when Jose Aldo gets out of his prime and decides to fight against someone not named Conor McGregor.
Yeah, Jim Miller though.
Jim Miller has been in more Fight of the Nights than anyone. Even the ones that he has. He's maybe not actually been awarded, but in my opinion, some of the fights with Cowboy was amazing. The first fight with Joe Lozon was brilliant. The second fight wasn't as good, but you can't really top the first one.
Does have a really good record though of 28 wins, 8 losses, and 1 no contest. He's on a current 3-fight win streak, and he's defeated Thiago Alves, Joe Lozon, and Takanori Gomi.
It's worth noting that Thiago Alves fight, Thiago missed weight considerably.
Yeah.
So the fight was going to be cancelled. So what Jim Miller did was, instead of letting the fight be cancelled, Jim Miller went out and gained weight on purpose so he would miss weight so they could do it at a capped weight fight.
Yeah.
That to me is someone who wants to fight. Him and Michael Bisping are the 2 fighters I believe that want to fight. It's a job, it's this, it's that, but they want to fight. Above all else, they will do what they can to make sure that fight goes ahead, and that's impressive.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got Glover's going to fight Jared in that fight. Obviously the Killer Gorilla.
Did you not say his second name because you can't pronounce it?
Cannonier, is that?
Is it Cannonier? I think it's Cannonier.
I think it's Cannonier.
Yeah.
I remember him from the Ultimate Fighter, the champion fight when Mighty Mouse fought Tim Elliott.
Yes.
That was an interesting one because that was one where the opponent dressed up as the Hulk, wasn't it, at the weigh-ins?
Yes. Yeah.
And I honestly thought, I remember that fight because I thought he was going to get finished a few times, and then he came back and he's an absolute monster. He had his hands down, getting punched in the face, and he was just walking through them, taking it.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
Leon Cabutiera is the guy he fought, apparently. These names. Everyone should just be called Dan.
Honestly,
Dan and Gary.
I haven't got much on Jared, but then again, Glover, I've got a bit for him. So his latest loss came to the hands of Anthony Johnson.
And that wasn't just a loss, that was a near-death experience.
But then again, he's got wins over Rashad Evans, Patrick Cummins, OSP, obviously.
The wins he has weren't overly impressive. The losses he has were detrimental. So obviously he lost to John, but everyone's lost to John Jones. The only person to beat John Jones is Matt Hamill, and that was a disqualification win, which it shouldn't have been. Yeah. Steve Mazzagatti really messed that one up. But when he beat Bader, he didn't. That wasn't really. It was a victory because he knocked him clean out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he knocked him out while he was getting rocked. Joe Rogan was screaming for Ryan Bader to finish that fight, and I remember thinking Ryan Bader's going to win this and finally get his title shot, and then all of a sudden Glover plants one of those on him and gets knocked out, and gets the knockout rather. And Glover's famous for being, a former Chuck Liddell sparring partner, but Glover should be famous for having a 25-2 record when he came to the UFC.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's great. That's phenomenal.
Next fight, quite a crazy fight, wouldn't you say so? Jacare versus Tim Boetsch. It's originally, this fight is now something. I think it's after the Glover fight. I just got it down wrong because they changed it as I was looking down at notes and stuff.
It doesn't matter the order, but Jacare fighting Boetsch. Now, what this says to me is it's an odd one because Rockhold's pleading that he's hurt, but at the same time, in the exact same sentence, Rockhold is saying that he wants to fight John Jones, or he wants to grapple with John Jones at Submission Underground. If you are hurt, you do not want to go and fight the best 205-pound gentleman in a grappling match.
Yeah,
that's not. But you also see, if you follow Rockhold on Instagram and Twitter, he posts training videos every day.
Yeah.
So if you're hurt, you're either hurt and you can't compete, or you are not hurt and you can compete. There's no middle ground.
Quick something about Luke Rockhold. Shout out to Demi Lovato for finishing it. I'm
she's
happy.
She's had to go out with a Bellator fight now.
There we go. She is. She's gone into the Bellator ways. Damn.
Oh, I reckon we might see Demi Lovato in the octagon at some point.
Yeah. Demi Lovato
versus CM Punk.
Yeah.
See how that one turns out. So who do you reckon's going to win this one? Jacare or Bosch?
I'm thinking Jacare.
Everyone's going to think
big wins
Jacare.
over Vitor, Gegard, obviously.
But was it a big win over Vitor? Vitor, I love Vitor, but Vitor's just not been the same since TRT.
No.
I've been banned.
Very true.
Bosch has been on a bit of a career renaissance at the moment. Obviously, he got knocked out by Hendo, but everyone not named Michael Bisping gets knocked out by Hendo when he lands that right hand.
A 2-fight win streak, though, Booch. Fought last at 205 against Rafael Natal.
Rafael Natal.
Yeah, same thing.
Rafael Natal, yeah, and that was a hell of a fight as well. A lot of people thought Rafael Natal was going to win that fight. I've always been a big Tim Bosch fan for two reasons. I love his entrance music. He always comes out to the same song by Metallica.
Yeah.
And also, the first fight that Tim Bosch had, he performed what I like to call the Viking throw. Literally from the Muay Thai plum, just threw the face down towards the floor. He then actually went to grab the fence to stamp on him before changing his mind and realising that's against the rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tim Bosch, the Barbarian, as he's known, I'd love to see him. If Tim Bosch wins this fight, Tim Bosch is right up there in the top 5.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the only person to beat Jacare while he's been here is Joel Romero.
UFC 194 by decision.
Yeah, what was it though? Because he hit him with that back fist, and a lot of people would have gone down after that, but obviously Jacare fought back, and Romero, he's a dirty fighter. I don't like Romero. I like watching him fight to see what he's going to do, but with the water he pours on himself and just his general antic grabbing the cage, I'm not a massive fan.
Just quickly before we go into our next topic, Jacare is currently 3rd in the rankings, and Tim is 14th.
14th. Oh, that's
this will do a lot. Match. This will do a lot if he beats Jacare.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I'd have put Tim Bosch against someone more. Yeah, possibly closer to his rankings, like someone like Uriah Hall.
Yeah.
Someone else, closer to the rankings. But, Tim Bosch has got that power. He could finish the fight. And I'd like to see him finish the fight, personally. I think the middleweight division needs a shake-up.
Yeah, it does need a shake-up. So, coming on next, we're going to talk about Yair Rodriguez versus BJ Penn, which is actually this weekend, Sam. This weekend. January the 15th, headlined by Yair Rodriguez.
So, the important question.
BJ Penn.
Baby J Penn, can he do it?
I don't know. Yair Rodriguez is a very exciting upcomer at the minute, I must admit.
He is. He's an exciting guy, but what's he most known for?
Flying knee kicks.
Flying knee kicks?
Flying knee knockouts over Andre Fili and Edgar Juarez.
Okay, so do you think he can beat him?
I think he could.
So let me give you some names. Alex Caceres, Andre Fili, Dan Hooker, Charles Rosa. Do you know any of these people?
I knew Fili.
Yeah, I know Fili. And I know Alex Caceres from The Ultimate Fighter.
But
Dan Hooker, Charles Rosa.
But where's he meant to start if he's not meant to fight big names?
No, I'm just if you don't know any of those people, they're the last couple of people, obviously, Rodriguez has beaten. So we'll go down the 4 fights of BJ Penn's last fight. We've got Frankie Edgar, the legend, Rory McDonald, Nick Diaz, John Finch. That was his last 4 fights. Do you know any of them?
All of them.
So, all of them. We've got former champion in Frankie Edgar.
Looking down,
Rory
I know.
McDonald, he's going to be a future champion somewhere. Nick Diaz, he's a legend of the sport. John Finch, Fitch, sorry, he's a... I never liked John Finch personally, but he was a good fighter. Before that, he knocked out Matt Hughes. So, competition matters. I'd personally... The original fight for BJ Penn was going to be Ricardo Lames, and then BJ pulled out with an injury.
Yeah.
That would have been a good fight, because Ricardo Lames is on the downslide now. He's fought for the belt, and he's lost a couple of fights in a row. It would have been a good fight for both of them, both very experienced. But after that, the next fight, he was going to fight Dennis Siver, and that fight was cancelled as well. Again, that would have been a good fight, because again, they're both, Dennis Siver obviously just got his clock cleaned by McGregor recently.
Do you think BJ Penn's going to have ring rust, though? He hasn't fought since 2014, and he hasn't actually won since the KO back in 2010 over Matt Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if we see the BJ Penn of old, the BJ Penn that relied on his chin,
the Hall of Famer BJ Penn,
had reckless abandonment. He didn't care. He knew that he wasn't going to get knocked out because he had this iron chin. He was like mini Roy Nelson out there. He was great. If we see the BJ Penn that fought Frankie Edgar last time, he looked like it was his first day in the gym. He was stood upright, bouncing on his toes. Yeah. I think I had to watch that fight last night. I actually think that BJ Penn thought that he would. If standing up straight, you're obviously liable for that takedown. If he took him down, BJ thought he could submit him because BJ Penn got his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. in 3 years.
It's crazy.
3 years. That's unheard of.
Isn't the minimum something normally like
10 years?
Yeah,
10 years.
10 years.
Is about the average. He got it in 3. That's ridiculous.
That is crazy.
But I just think 9-1. Rodriguez hasn't fought anyone. You know, Alex Caceres is quite cool. He's got an afro,
yeah.
But he's really known from The Ultimate Fighter. If you didn't watch The Ultimate Fighter, you're not really going to know who Bruce Leroy is. You know, Alex Caceres.
Yeah.
He's most known for getting choked out by Uriah Faber. Fairly recently. But I don't know, if you look at the last 3 fights, you've got 3 fairly unknown people, unless you're a fairly hardcore fan. But you know, a lot of people know Nick Diaz. Rory McDonald's a future champion. Frankie Edgar's a former champion, and he'll probably be a future champion again.
Yeah.
These are legends. And if you look at, he's only ever fought the best. You know, he's fought GSP twice. He's fought Matt Hughes 3 times. He's fought Florian Sanchez.
Yeah.
So competition matters.
This is why he's a UFC Hall of Fame. You know, he's not. It's not just a lousy title.
If a lot of people don't know, BJ Penn actually fought Lyoto Machida at a catch weight. Lyoto Machida weighed in at 225 pounds.
Wow.
BJ Penn weighed in at 185.
Bloody hell.
That is ridiculous. He didn't win the fight, but he fought Machida at K1, and that shakes guts. And you got my boy JoeLozon.com. He's also a Redditor.
Yeah.
Joe Lozon is going to fight. Is that Marcin Held?
Marcin Held, yes. Neither of them are in the top 15. Have you know? Joe Lozon's now on a 26-12. He's only won 2 of his last 5 with mentionable wins over Diego Sanchez and Takanori Gomi.
He's not just that. Joe Lozon's a fight of the night machine. Yeah. He's amazing. He's so good on the ground, but he's not afraid to stand, and he's reckless. You know, he's got a degree. He's got a degree in computer sciences. He could be sat in an office making his millions, but no, he's in there, bleeding and sweating and crying for our entertainment. That to me that's amazing. And you know, when he fought at 200, he fought Diego Sanchez, and he ran him over. Yeah. It looked like a mismatch, and Diego Sanchez is, you know, crazy. He's one of the better ones. He's one of the better fighters that we've ever seen off The Ultimate Fighter. But it looked like a mismatch, and you know, I love Joe Lozon. Everyone, I don't care who he fights. I'll tune in to watch him fight. I do believe he's got this fight though.
Yeah, Marcin Held 22-5. He's coming off a loss to Diego Sanchez. Before that, beating Dave Jansen.
Well, if we use simple MMA math here, Joe Lozon beat Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez beat him. So 1 + 1 is 2. I reckon Joe Lozon's got this.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so
Court McGee.
This is only a 4-fight main card.
Interesting, but it's got the potential. Court McGee, obviously from The Ultimate Fighter, I got a lot of respect for Court McGee. Court McGee was actually a drug addict who turned his life around. Is now a mixed martial artist.
GG, son.
Yeah, Court McGG. But he's a great fighter. He's not the most exciting of fighters, but you know, he's got heart, and he always goes in there to win. He always gives it his best.
Yeah.
Ben Saunders, you know, he's a great fighter. But I don't know. I can see the wrestling of Court McGee coming through here.
It's these type of cards what really you watch and you think no, I'm just gonna keep waiting for the co-main and the main. But it's these type of cards that always pull it together and bring out the
winners of all of these fights. So obviously we've got, if BJ Penn wins this fight, BJ Penn can go and headline another card.
Yeah.
And I'd watch, if BJ Penn lost this fight, I'd watch BJ Penn headline another card. Joe Lozon, he has headline cards. He'll headline them again.
Yeah.
All the people, so many fights are lightweight for him. I'd love to see Joe Lozon and Nate Diaz go at it.
Definitely.
Welterweight, Court McGee, Ben Saunders. Either of them win, they could go off and headline a card. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
John Moraga, Sergio Pettis. Now Sergio Pettis, obviously the brother Anthony Pettis, is like a watered down version of Anthony Pettis. He's good, not great, but he's there.
Current record of 14-2. Fighting 2-fight win streak over Chris Calades and Chris Carriasso. It's funny to note actually that Sergio Pettis actually doesn't like anyone called Chris, because he has beat 3 Chris's in his 16 fights. He's beat 3 Chris's.
What about Johns? Any Johns?
Johns, I'm not too sure about a few Johns.
Oh, John Moraga. I every time I've put my bet on for Sergio Pettis, he's lost. So I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say John Moraga, in the hopes that Sergio wins this fight, because I'd like to see Sergio work his way up.
John Moraga is
up the rankings.
He's currently on a 2-fight loss streak. He's got losses from Matthias Nicola, Joseph Benavidez, Josh Dodson twice, and also the UFC flyweight champion. I don't know what I was thinking to myself last night. I just kept thinking Josh Dodson.
Well, your name's
I
Josh.
just love myself too much. And he also lost to UFC flyweight champ Demetrius Johnson.
Well, if you look at those names, Mighty Mouse. He's a god among men.
Yeah.
John Dodson.
Josh.
John Dodson.
Yeah, John Dodson.
He's got hands made of, dynamite. He's got a H-bomb in both of those hands that he's taken from Henderson.
Yeah.
And then you got obviously Joe Benavidez. No one beats Joe Benavidez apart from... If your name is not Mighty Mouse, you will not beat Joseph Benavidez.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Megan O'Leary beats John. No. Oh, okay.
All right,
No,
that's for a different podcast. So I just think John Moraga's fought the better competition. I don't reckon he's going to take this over Sergio.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to move on. We're going to go to 209.
This is going to be the last thing we talk about now because we are pushing for time. So UFC 209, March 4th, Woodley versus Wonderboy 2.
Woodley versus Wonderboy. Well, it was a draw last time.
It was a draw, and it was a very good fight. It'd be interesting to see what happens the next time they go 5 rounds.
Don't think they'll go 5 rounds. Someone's going to get the knockout or the submission this time. Like Woodley nearly had the submission at one point.
Yeah.
Wonderboy nearly had the knockout at one point. It was a good fight.
Yeah.
But this fight isn't the one I want to talk about. I want to talk about Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Al Kukui. Tony Ferguson. Sorry, what did you call Al Kukui?
El Cookie.
Al Cookie.
El Cookie.
The Cookie Monster, Al Kukui.
Just quickly before we jump down to Khabib, Damian Maia put a tweet out last night saying good luck to both, but he hopes he gets the first fight back.
See, Damian Maia is the anti-Conor McGregor. I want to watch him because he's so respectful.
He's an amazing fighter.
He's such a traditional martial artist. The respect, the courtesy, the modesty, the honesty.
He's gonna be champion. He will be champion.
He's pushing 40 now though, so this is his last chance.
I think once this fight has happened, they will defend against Damian Maia, and I think Damian Maia will win.
Well, we'll see.
It's
worth noting for all of you who don't know Damian Maia as well as we do. Damian Maia, Gabriel Gonzaga, obviously he's a heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's knocked out Mikro Kokop. If you don't know who Gabriel Gonzaga is, you should. He's a third Dan in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Damian Maia beat him in a Jiu-Jitsu contest. That is insane. That is a child beating a grown man in terms of size. Because Gabriel Gonzaga is huge. Damian Maia is not. Damian Maia won that fight. That's crazy. Khabib Nurmagomedov, Tony Ferguson. Before I say my bit, because I've got an agenda here. Who do you think will win that fight?
I honestly think Tony Ferguson will pull it off. I don't think Khabib Nurmagomedov has had enough competition in that 24. It's good to know that he has had one win on a top 5 guy in those 24.
And who was that top 5 guy? Rafael Dos Anjos.
Yes.
It was Rafael Dos Anjos.
But still, he's 24-0 and he's only fought one top 5 guy.
So let's talk about that 24-0 record.
What's wrong with that?
So let's first of all take away those first 14 fights. Because his first fight, fair enough, he fought a guy who was 0-0.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was his debut fight. That's a fair fight, but both men making their debut, rather. But all of his other fights were against people with losing records.
Yeah.
And most of them, the majority of them, you can see this post on Reddit. It's quite interesting to see. Most of the people, it's generally about a 9 out of 10 ratio, will have losing records still. Some of them as bad as 1 win, 9 losses. So Khabib's record is padded, to say the least. If you watch the fight against Michael Johnson, very early on, Johnson lands a nice right hand. Khabib's wobbled.
Yeah.
Now in this lightweight division, there are few people who hit as hard as Tony Ferguson. But if you look at the champ, Conor McGregor, now I gotta say, I wasn't a Conor McGregor believer. I thought he was all hype. I thought he was lucky when he knocked out Jose Aldo. I thought Nate Diaz showed him for what he really was. I thought he lost the second fight against Diaz.
Yeah, so did I. Every time I see McGregor fight, I don't know, we've kind of come on to McGregor here, but every time I see McGregor fight, there's always something in me wants him to lose. Like the Nate Diaz fight, the first one, I was over the moon that Nate Diaz won that. Second one, I thought he won that. Honestly.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and yeah. But the point I was making, if Michael Johnson can hit Khabib and wobble him, if McGregor hits him, McGregor will kill him.
Yeah.
He won't get up ever. He will be dead.
Yeah.
McGregor will take his head into the 4th row, take it back to Ireland, and put it on top of the Dublin Centre.
Yeah.
Put it in Croke Park as a trophy. Al Kukui, Tony Ferguson, is not far off. He's not far off that power. He can still finish the fight, but he favours that front choke, that Darce choke, that guillotine. All of them, they're his tools of destruction.
Yeah.
And he's a creative striker, and he's hard to take down. This is a bad fight for Khabib. If if Johnson can hit him and wobble him, Ferguson can hit him and finish him.
Yeah.
And if by some miracle Khabib does win this fight, he has to fight McGregor. And yeah, you've got the wrestling. Chad Mendes took McGregor down, but McGregor got back up. Khabib's a much better. Khabib is the best pure wrestler in the UFC at the moment.
Yeah.
He wrestles with bears, for God's sake. He's an animal. But if someone can land a punch on him, it's over.
Honestly, this is for March 4th in New York, so we have quite a while yet, with it only being 11th of January.
So yeah, Khabib's likely to get injured before that fight.
We've got loads more fights to come onto the card yet, so this was just a quick brief. Do you want to talk about Mark Hunt and Alistair Overeem? I'm
going to predict right now that fight doesn't happen, because today, January 11th, Mark Hunt files his $2.5 million lawsuit against the UFC, naming Brock Lesnar, Dana White, and the UFC itself as the defendants. So he's personally going after Brock Lesnar.
Not only has he said this, he said that if Alistair Overeem comes back as he's tested for something, then he will also sue Alistair Overeem. So, it's one of them.
See, now, suing Brock Lesnar, I can understand that. Brock Lesnar is to blame for that.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar did that. The UFC, I can understand that. The UFC allowed him to fight. The UFC was alerted of the drug test beforehand. They were aware of it.
Dana White, though, really?
Yeah, Dana White. What has he done? He's the president. That's like saying, if you get a mouse in your Rockstar, was it a Monster Energy drink? They found a mouse.
They did find a mouse.
You're not going to sue the president of Monster. If your computer crashes, you're not going to sue Bill Gates.
No,
it's not Dana White's fault.
It's crazy. It's not Dana White's fault. It's not really anyone. It's the fighters themselves. Their fault. It's not. It's not like, say, Sean Shelby's gone. Hey, Brock, go and take something.
Yeah, they're not. They don't mail order them. And to be honest, if you look at that fight, you can go all the way back to standard fight. Striker versus grappler. You can go all the way back to Jimmerson versus Gracie at UFC 1.
Yeah.
Put on one boxing glove, and you've got your grappler. You got your striker versus your grappler. Yeah. Mark Hunt is a striker. Yeah. Mark Hunt does not go out there looking for triangle jokes.
No.
Mark Hunt goes out there looking to kill you.
He wants to kill you and then walk off in style.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar looks for a double leg and he's going to pound you. Brock Lesnar does not like to strike.
Yeah.
There you two. That's actually striker versus your grappler. And as we've seen, more times than not, the grappler wins now. As you know, you were there. We won a lot of money on that fight for betting on Lesnar, didn't we?
Yes, we
Brock
did.
Lesnar paid for my driving test.
Yeah. Thank you, Brock.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't think that fight's going to go ahead, but if it does, I reckon Mark Hunt's got it. I just can't see it not going Mark Hunt's way.
Yeah. I totally agree. And that has come to the final topic of today. We're going to talk a lot more about UFC 209 next week. We'll see what's in the news as well for next week. We'll be back next Wednesday, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been episode 1. I've been Josh.
I've been Sam. Be sure to check out fightplatform.com for the latest mixed martial art news and stories. See you next week, guys.
See you.